good?
Oh my God, what a day. Did you think I was dead? You
No,
hadn't
no, because I saw that you had read my message.
heard. But usually I reply, like it was so nice. You said Happy Valentine's Day. Nothing. Nothing.
Happy
Aw.
Valentine's Day. That was my card for Gemma. We just do little things.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I
I
took it extremely literal this time,
That's awesome. I got
right?
to make this a little brighter. Hang on. Okay. That is funny. I love the way you guys do your relationship.
We're
I
just
love
so stupid.
it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Anyways, we got a big score here. We've got comedian Amy T.
Uh-huh.
Oh, dapper as usual.
Sure. All decked out. Yeah. I'm loving that jacket.
Right? You all dapper.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day indeed. I
Love the
did not.
jacket.
You're
Thank you.
looking smashing, or as they say over here, banging.
Banging.
It's been a while, been a minute.
I would say so. An entire lifetime has happened for me, for sure, as will you. You don't even live in the country anymore.
Honest to God, Amy, the last time we saw each other was like 2009.
Oh, I didn't know you guys know each other. Like, know each other?
We
Oh,
through shenanigans, I would
how
say.
do I not know? Why would I be surprised? It's the 5 degrees from Denise. Everyone knows Denise. Anyone who's anyone. Anyone who's anyone.
But yeah,
Exactly.
honestly, we had a good time. We had a good time back then, and I have been following you ever since, and it's been like the evolution of Amy T. Completely different person now.
I absolutely am an entirely different person. Although I tell the story of being on that cruise with you and the hurricane, and
Oh, you were on that cruise? I heard about that
yeah,
cruise.
and
Every
nobody
lesbian,
can believe.
yeah,
Like, it's so hard to tell somebody we were in a hurricane.
we went through a hurricane. The boat was like this,
Yes.
and people were throwing up everywhere. There was green apples rolling around. Events were canceled. Comedians were on stage trying to do their thing like this, and they just said, you know what? No, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody was sick for the first 2 days. It was just incredible to see
Yeah.
that pool just go, the water coming up and over and hitting the DJ thing. I was like, oh man, this is something. That was,
Yeah.
that was my first cruise too. Like, man, talk about a baptism by fire.
Oh wow. I didn't know that, but yeah, that was intense that year. Yeah.
It was, well, Jay, the reason for pretty much the 5 degrees of Denise, as you call it, is because every lesbian in the continental US
Mhm.
and abroad was on that boat.
They all know about that cruise. Where was I? Why wasn't I on that cruise?
The bond. It's a bond that you just,
Yes.
when you've
Uh,
gone through something like that with people, it definitely is a bond.
Yeah,
That was wicked. It really was. But then after that, good times, good times.
for sure.
Yeah, it really was. But yeah, so like, I think I've been following probably before that, following you and your career. And like I said, it's just been this amazing evolution to here to this point. And it's all kind of come full circle, isn't it? You've been happily married for how many years now?
We just celebrated 10 years of wedded bliss about Martin Luther King Day. We got married on Martin Luther King Day, and we'll be together 14 years this coming June.
That's
I
awesome.
also love, and JD, I know you always tell me, oh, Denise, I love your relationship and how funny you guys are. I love the way Amy and her wife troll each other on Facebook. It is
I've seen some
seriously,
of that.
I live for it. I live for it. It's amazing. What a
She always says she's funnier than me. I just have the microphone.
guy,
But she does
right?
pretty good.
There you
Because
go. There
honestly,
you
and she catches the perfect videos and pictures.
She's she's like, she should have been like paparazzi or something, because she's much better than, she's a psych nurse practitioner, so that helps this up here.
Oh,
And
sure.
but she she's so stealthy with the video.
I love it.
I
I
saw
actually,
one with you were blowing the leaves in your bathrobe or raking leaves.
Yeah.
we love these little insights to your home life,
Yeah, I got a pretty good life, that's for sure.
Honestly, I love it. I love it. And a good car, always.
I do. That is my thing. I do enjoy my vehicles. So I'm currently driving a Tesla right now. I know. I'm looking. I know. I am looking to trade that out in the next couple of months. So I'm actually, I make my wife crazy, because it's like every couple of years I need a new car, and I make her insane by talking about it incessantly until it happens. So that has been the topic of discussion the last few weeks of like, what am I getting for a car now? And she's like, I don't care. And then like, what it is like, we have this conversation. And then she's like, you're not getting this, you're not getting a Tesla, you're not getting a Porsche, like all these things. And then like, I just wear her down to the point that I make her ears bleed. She can't take it anymore. And it's just like, do what you want. I don't care. I'm like, okay.
It worked again. right at the tail end of a lease. It's perfect.
Exactly.
So you know when to start, and you know when it ends, and you know when the lease is up. It's all
Right.
that's
That's
absolutely perfect.
right.
I have to say, like, that's one of the things over here that I couldn't care less about, because I don't drive. So when it comes time for us to get a car, I'm just like, do what you
Don't
want.
care.
My wife drives, and we don't normally ever have to take it anywhere, because we're always taking like a train or a tube, or a cab or a car service. So it's just kind of like, I don't even really know why we have it. I think it just looks like somebody's home all the time. It's always there. It's always in front of the house. But
Nice to
yeah,
have it.
yeah. I mean, really fill it up with gas every 5 months, 6 months, maybe. It's nice. Yeah. Yeah. We just really don't have to use it that much. I mean, I think I mean, you have to have it, but yeah, I felt bad this past year, because they're kind of like trying to phase out diesel cars, and certain things with emissions and all that. And they have cameras on the road now. So if your car is of a certain year and they know that the emissions are bad, there's a tax for it, and you have to pay that tax online, or it'll take a picture and send you a bill. So yeah, it's stealthy. It's stealthy, and and everybody complains about it. But that was one of the reasons that forced us to get a car, because there was absolutely nothing wrong with the old one, other than it fell between those years. And so she was just like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Go get the regulated kind. I don't want to be dealing with things in the mail and worrying about cameras and all that. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Just along for the ride.
Drive on either side, right? She could drive the car on, if she's here, she can drive as well.
No,
You drive
the rule is she drives here and I drive when I'm in the States.
oh,
So, it's just easier that way. I'm sure she could. Like, there's a
yeah.
lot of times where I'm like backing up and doing something, and she goes, "Do you want me to just reverse into it?" Well, no, I got this.
Got it.
I play Grand Theft Auto, so that I always keep my abilities to drive when I get back home.
You need that for Miami and Coral Springs and South
Exactly.
Florida.
Oh my God, of course. Yeah. So yeah, it's a different way of life, like it really is very different. I mean, like, I've seriously been here 13 years. I learned something new every day. And if you want to jump in to it, like, buy a house, because nothing is like, the homes here are nothing like the homes in the
Oh,
States. So changing a light bulb, which is like, right, how many lesbians does it take to change a light bulb? I don't know, because I can't change them here. Can't figure it out.
Really?
There's a million different kinds of light bulbs here, like two prongs, screw in, smaller body, larger body with these two little prongs on it. Does it have a transformer connected? for the can. Like I can't do it. Like it's the dumbest thing to have to call an electrician. Can you come and change a light bulb in the bathroom, Greg? So yeah, it's humiliating. And growing up, I never had like a boiler or radiators or
Mm.
weird things that leak in the attic.
Uh,
I don't know any of this. So it's immense. It is absolutely immense. It's a learning experience every day. So I don't know, I could probably be here 30 years and still say I don't really feel like I fit in here. You know, but I walk around in NFL clothing. Nobody knows what it means. It's great.
Oh, that's
Nobody gives me shit for being a Bills fan over here. They don't even know what it is. It's perfect.
right.
Yeah, it's perfect. But Amy, let's talk about you.
Sure. What
yes.
do you want to know?
I First of all, I have to say I love that a lot of your comedy nights and things that you host and headline and everything are charity driven, like the one
Yeah.
you have coming up.
Yep.
Like it's just amazing. Do these places reach out to you, or do you research them, or do you put these things together?
A lot of times they reach out to me, and then because I've been doing so many of them, like now Pride season will be coming up, and so it just interconnected, and it's like, oh, I saw that you were here last year. Would you come do our event this year? So, I'm, and that's just an amazing way to do what I love and still be able to give back.
Yeah,
Uh, like it's such a win-win for everybody. Because I mean, that's where I feel most alive in my life is when I'm on stage with a microphone and spotlight. So to be able to give money to a dog rescue or a homeless shelter or whatever, like that's just the icing on the cake as well.
it's
I,
awesome.
yeah, music. I feel the same way with the, I
Yeah,
do a
Jay,
lot.
you do that a lot too, don't you?
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. It's so sweet. I love it. And the other thing I really, really love is that you have never hidden any of your hard times and your battles. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, like you have found a way not only to get through it, but to shine a light on it and have some laughs up there on stage. And it's really, really, not only is it instantly you like it's one of those things that takes your breath away, like, oh my God, somebody's talking about this in front of people. It's like, thank
Mhm.
God that you are, because it's inspiring and people need that.
Like I feel like it's almost in a weird way, like a responsibility. Um, you know, uh, Denise, you know me in a different lifetime, and for
Mm,
different reasons, and you've seen me in a different capacity.
yeah.
And when I got sober and was diagnosed, which was the year after that we met, I realized, like, at that point I was like almost 35 years old, and wow, I had done a lot of damage, to personal relationships, professional relationships. And when you like take a step back and you look at the carnage and the
Oh,
shrapnel that you created,
mm,
um, it's humbling. And to get sober and get your mental health under control, and to like make amends, and at that point making amends, people can accept it or not, and they don't have to,
you're right.
and that's okay. But the biggest apology you can do is have changed behavior, and that was, I think, me going at having changed behavior. And you can see from afar that this isn't the person that I wanted to be, or that was really probably me. I had good foundation, I had good bones, but it wasn't it. So then when I looked at that, I'm like, I'm 35 years old. I went through most of my life like this. How many other people are out there like me that didn't even know that something else, whether it's trauma or mental health, and it's all, everything's always a symptom of something else, right?
Right.
That I really threw myself into, and then having the comedy background and platform just made it so much easier to speak out, easy
Wow.
enough. So having, yeah, like, so being able to be on stage talking about bipolar disorder and talking about my addiction and substance use, is like a fun backhanded way of educating through the comedy. making
Yeah.
it a little bit light so that people come on, like you said, it is a little bit of shock value. I think we're
Mhm.
talking about it so much more now than we
Yeah.
did 14 years ago when I was first talking about it. But it takes the tension off of such a serious subject. And at the end of the day, I don't care what show I'm doing, somebody will always come up and go, thank you for talking about that. My mom, my sister, my uncle, my brother, whatever, somebody is interconnected somehow, that it's affected their life or their family. So they appreciate the conversation about it.
Yeah. It's, you know, I would go as far as to say that you were a part of that, shining a spotlight on it, releasing a little bit of the stigma that comes with it, in a way that was it's such a personal thing, and like you said, there's always someone that's affected by it, if not them, a family member, somebody they know. And, you know, I would venture to say most people don't, want to talk about it very much, or they're afraid of the reaction, so getting up on stage and shining a spotlight on it. And I know that you're that's not your whole act, you know what I
Right.
mean? The fact that it's, in a public space is, I just think it's a just a inspiring, but like brave. And you were a part of that, like how you just said, we're all talking about it so much more now, like everybody knows, about self-care and taking a mental health day when you need it, and putting the focus on yourself and your own mental health. And people are more apt to talk about it, whether it's in their friends circle, or it's not, a shameful thing to have a therapist anymore. People are just talking about it at brunch, so,
Mhm.
it's come a long way in that 15 or so years, and, I have to say, people like you. And it's encouraging. It's so encouraging for people that might be struggling a little bit, and they are, out there wanting to go to a comedy show and have a laugh. And then, hearing a little bit about that, I feel like it would make them feel good. Someone else is going through this. Look at her. She's doing fantastic. So,
That's
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, go ahead, JD. I'm sorry.
no, that's it.
I think it really helps that you can look at those situations, the addiction problem, the mental health issues, with put a comic side to it, because musicians do that all the time. They write, and a lot of times cryptically in the lyrics, about their struggles. But when you get out there and you're just putting it in people's faces what it is, like Denise said, I'm sure it inspires other people who are struggling to either get help if they didn't have help, to see that you could change your life and how much you've changed your life for the better. And I just love the story that you tell about meeting your wife when you were coming out of the hospital. Was that true? That story? She was your
I've
nurse at the hospital?
That's so funny. That is the only joke I tell on stage, and now I don't do it anymore because I didn't recognize like how people might misconceive that. No, I never ended up in inpatient. My wife is a psych nurse practitioner, so she is in the mental health related field. So the punchline of the joke is it's like in-home care without the copay.
Right.
But I don't, but I did not meet her in a hospital. So I had to like remove that joke because she's like, people are gonna think that
Right, right.
meeting people in the thing. But to go back to about talking about it, like for me, it's like when you talk about something with confidence as an expert, right? We're here to listen. You're like, oh, like Denise, you're going to teach me how to change a light bulb in England, right?
Right.
I'm going to listen to you because it's going to be confident, right? And so same
Right.
like me being able to talk about, my mental health and my substance use with confidence because I'm not ashamed of it. Like it was a part of the story. And every time I go on stage, I have this little mantra, thank you, universe, for the journey, the story, and my success. And so it wouldn't be without part of that segment of my life that I wouldn't have this story and this part of my journey. So I don't have any shame about it.
Yeah.
Like it's and then when I talk about it with confidence, then other people aren't going to be afraid of it. right? There's such
Right.
an image of mental health in America of like, oh, someone with like orange hair that blew up a movie theater or a school. And then they're like, oh, this person suffers from mental illness. And then they cut to the weather. And that's
Yeah.
just the image that's
Right.
being left over and over again. So to have, me get up there and just kind of stop poking fun of it, having a wife that's a psych nurse, and what that feels like, living with that at home, it's normalizes it because we do live normal, happy, healthy lives.
Yeah.
And then, my day job, I work in recovery for individuals with substance use dual diagnosis in a harm reduction treatment program to like guide them. It's like, I can't, I can definitely I can show you ways to make it more simpler.
Yeah.
This journey of recovery, it's going to be on your own. But my biggest thing is like, don't hide from it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But
Right.
that's an individual experience and their own lived experience to go through. But just by showing up every day and, listen, I keep a full-time job. I have this, part-time career of being a comic that, fills my soul so that you have work-life balance. I have a successful relationship. So, people, as you know, like, love relationships, friendships, and stuff like that really get damaged when you're not your best self.
Yeah.
But you can, you show them, you turn it around. Like, I must be doing something right. My wife and I have been together for so long,
Yeah. Yeah.
So just by leading by example and walking the talk and it
Exactly.
also helps me too, right? Like, it just keeps me doing all the right things all the time.
So did you meet your wife in your journey in mental health, or was that just a coincidence that she was a psych nurse and you had
It
these?
was a coincidence. She was a psych nurse. I met her. I will say that the universe tailor made her and delivered her to me. I was at Boston Pride 2 months after my sobriety, having an absolute panic attack and meltdown. I didn't want to be there. Like, I'm just newly sober. Like, this is way too much for me. But a friend of mine wanted to go, so I winged for her, and I'm at the bar and I'm ordering a water. I look over and somebody on the other side of the bar is ordering a water, which caught my eye right away. And then I locked eyes with this woman. And like, like I didn't know it then, but I felt it in my body, like something. But it's also weird that somebody else is ordering a water at Pride. You know what I mean?
Right.
5 degrees of Denise lesbian separation. I knew friends of hers. They introduced me, and she'll tell you she stalked me for a few weeks. I
Oh,
didn't even know our first date was a date. That's like, I was just so empty and broken at the time, and but I knew I had this gift, and I just polished that gift for the last 14 years. And definitely, the universe gave me this gift and was like, I'm going to give you this. Take care of it. And
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. That is so fantastic. It always seems though, like I know when I first met my wife, like I was a bumbling idiot, like I wouldn't even, I mean, here I knew her for 3 years online and being part of the show, even though she was living in Australia and we would email all the time or she would call into the show. But that first meeting, I turned into like a blithering idiot. I couldn't make eye contact with her. She thought I hated her. Like she thought I didn't like her. And it was just like,
that's
I,
very unusual for you, Denise, a bumbling idiot.
right? Like it was, I could feel the stupid coming out, but I couldn't control it. It was just like, it was just, yeah, it was crazy. Like, yeah, when you meet the right one, there something goes on there. That's for sure. That is for sure.
it was so crazy because like now I'm sober, right? I didn't know how to do life sober.
Yeah, that's
And so
huge.
now I'm dating sober. I'm talking, like, I didn't realize I had a social anxiety because I was masking it,
Right,
right? Like, I just
right,
didn't know. I didn't even know how to be as a person and function as a person. Like, it was just all so new. And she just appreciated all the quirks and the bumbling idiot that I was.
right, right.
So
Like, thank God.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was like trying to like walk for the first time again.
right. I was gonna ask you that, like, because the comedy club scene, kind of is based in, booze, you're in a bar and all that. Like, I mean,
Right.
that's a way of keeping it honest, right? Like keeping that career and doing it sober, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, it that for the, at the beginning was tough, and it wasn't so much about the alcohol and sobriety. Like I just recognized, like, I need to, like, it's like I zoomed out of my life and looked and been like, all right, let's look at what's going on, and all the bad things that happen. Alcohol was always involved, so
Yeah,
take that out of the equation and see what happens. And then so I kind of like looked at it that way. So it wasn't so much about like not being able to drink or being around the alcohol. It was the social aspect of it that I had no idea how to handle. I didn't know what to do, and
right.
panic attacks, and like I was started canceling gigs like weeks before a show because I would get myself so worked up, or I'd be driving, having a panic attack, and be like, I can't do it. And like then I just had to stop again and be like, Amy, this used to be your drug of choice. Like this is what you needed to
Right.
survive, and now a panic attack is keeping you off stage, or people trying to talk to you. So I just kind of eased into it, like, all right, show starts at 8, get there at 10 of, and leave the minute I was done. That way I didn't have to like be around that.
In the
And then
end,
I just
yeah.
slowly, yeah, like the energy of like just people coming up and talking to you, touching you, like just it was just so overwhelming, that I just kind of had to like slowly start doing it, and then challenge myself to stay a little bit longer, and hang out and talk with people, and almost just like learning how to be again.
Yeah. It's
Because
a
I
different
didn't
world.
realize how, yeah, I didn't know how much, I had no idea how much I was using alcohol to be a human being, to because I just wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I didn't even know who I was as a person without, some gin and tonic.
Right.
So discovering who I was, has been fun. That's kind of cool, like who I am, like,
Yeah.
oh, um, but yeah. So
Oh, oh, I like mowing the lawn.
yeah,
I
I like, yeah, I really
Oh,
kind of, I kind of like who I am now,
like blowing leaves.
Yeah, so
It's
simple.
it is. It's I think a lot too is that when you do have some kind of addiction, or you're in it, that kind of, you don't um appreciate moments, like they happened, you missed it completely, and
right. We're not living in the moment.
yeah, like
Yeah.
when you're sober, you just appreciate so much more, and your
Mhm.
talent, I think. Start becoming laser focused, like things tighten up, and you just be I mean, I feel I haven't seen your act in, forever, but I know that it's probably tighter and more focused, and and you're, because you're not doing it with any booze or crutches, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
think
everything's a little bit sharper.
it's much, my writing is much better, right? I'm a much kinder person on stage. Matter of fact, like there was a while like when I was like looking at old tapes of myself, and I'd be down in my writing studio in the garage, and I would just bawl my eyes out watching old sets of myself, going, who did you think you were? Like because I think the alcohol for me created a character,
Yeah.
and it
Interesting.
wasn't right. Like it was this character of Amy T that, for some grandiose, like womanizing person that was able to date and do a lot of nonsensical things, but it was a character of something that wasn't me as a person, for sure. So now I'm sober, watching this person on stage, going, who is this? And listen to
Right.
this writing, like it's horrific, like talking about my dating escapades, with such arrogance, and like, and certainly wouldn't fly now
Today, I know. Oh
in
my
this
God, I
today's city.
know. Yeah.
So yeah, so just like being able to just see that, is humbling, and but so much more appreciative of like just how much kinder I am, and which I think was always me. I just got caught up in the life.
Yeah, yeah.
Notice in
You
your
try and put on it. I know, after doing our podcast for like 10 years, um, and being that, snarky, sarcastic, you know, um, person, like during COVID, I went back and found some old shows, and I'm like, oh, I'll go through these and take out the news and the stuff that's not relevant anymore and just edit them down, make them like classic vintage lesbian lounge shows. And I was mortified at some of the things that we would say and do. And I was just like, oh my God, this isn't gonna fly today, like in 2021. Like, oh man. So yeah, I do think, and I just, I don't know, maybe it is like getting older. Um, you have been you've been through it. Um, you have an appreciation for where you're at now, and
Mhm.
grateful that you made it
Mhm.
literally. And it does have this kindness wash over you. Like I remember I was home, not last year, maybe the year before, and Donna and I got together. Jay, were you with them? We were recording something? No, because this was
I
at
don't
Donna's
think
house.
so. Down here?
Yeah, yeah. And
Oh,
I don't know, we were recording something at Donna's house and we thought we would just drop it on the audio feed and surprise people. And I remember her looking at me at one point and going, I don't even know you anymore. Like I just didn't take the bait, where I would a lot of times and like call her an asshole or,
Mhm.
whatever. Like it just wasn't in me. And she was just like, oh my God, I don't even know you anymore. But I do think it's just as you get older, it does, like a kindness does kind of wash over you, like
but
so
like
much
the
more gentler with even with my parents. Like I'm so much more patient with my parents, and like yeah, but I'm happy about it. Like I'm not, like I'm absolutely happy about it. What were you
I
saying?
think so too with the alcohol issue, that just in itself changes people because I have friends, few friends in particular who had have problems with alcohol that they turn from being nice, like just over a couple of drinks, and it's that other next drink, it's a Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it just takes
just
that
so
one.
amazing. I don't know if that was because then there are people that are fun drunks, but I mean, when you have the kind of personality where it changes you to be a not nice person. I mean, do you think that was part of the reason why you're a kinder person now? Did the alcohol change your demeanor towards
Oh,
people?
False
yeah,
confidence.
and yeah, so right, like yeah, two drinks, Amy sees a blast, and I'm good. Third one, fourth one, I don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to be a blubbering mess? Am I going to be angry? And like, not that I want to, because alcohol changes you as a person, anyways, changes all of us depending on who we are. But also, like now, put the underlying mental health condition that I didn't know about.
Right.
So,
Right.
so day to day, alcohol changed me depending on the chemistry that was going on for me that I didn't know. So like, you'd be down in P-Town working for a couple of weeks. One night you're at the Pied having a couple of drinks and you're fine. The same next day you're having a couple of drinks and those same two drinks knock you on your ass and you're blacked out or people are,
Right.
recapping the night before and you're like, I don't remember that any of
Really?
that,
Yeah,
like,
really?
and
Yeah.
now like I'm humble enough to be like that had to have been your experience because you're telling me about it and I'm sorry, but I don't remember and that doesn't excuse it, but I think back of like yeah, just knowing what my mental health was like now, what it's like now, I have no idea for how long that was happening.
Is
Oh,
that
God.
a hard condition to diagnose, bipolar?
It usually takes a lot of it typically gets diagnosed in your early 20s, and so you know, so go back 20 years ago, 25 years ago, for me would be in my early 20s. We definitely were not talking about mental health. That was not talked about in our families,
Exactly.
depression and all that. So it was just, I was just hiding so much. And I can definitely see a trajectory of myself. And then just trauma from a little girl that you just suppressed, like physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, from the time I'm very young that you just suppressed, that just like you just kind of kept putting a manhole cover on it. Like, no, we're just going to bury it. And finally, like, it starts leaking out a little bit here and there. And then
Yeah.
add a decade of substance use on top of that, it's bound to explode. And it finally exploded when I wanted to end my own life. And I, again, so grateful that I was able to discover all of that.
Right. Yeah, the why. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, it doesn't make up for lost time, but I can definitely see the trajectory of my life of those things. But you're supposed, you have depressive episodes and manic episodes, and I think to myself, like, I don't know. I still question my bipolar diagnosis. My wife and I think we lean more towards the autism spectrum, because bipolar makes a lot of sense when I was drinking, but I've been sober, so I don't have those cycles. And I went off my meds about 8 years ago as a kind of a experiment, and just kind of see, because when I was diagnosed, they were like, all right, you're bipolar disorder, take these meds. And I'm like, okay. And I just did it their way, right? Like, I'm going with the experts. So I would take my meds twice a day. I'd set an alarm on my phone, and like, this is part of my responsibility. And then I was like sober for 5 years, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I don't resonate with this diagnosis. So I talked to my wife and I said, listen, for my 5 year sobriety, I would like to come off my meds. And she panicked. As a psych nurse, she knows what that looks like. She's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, but I don't know who I am. You asked me, like, what are these meds doing for you? I don't know. What do you want me to do? What are they supposed to do? I don't know.
Right.
And there's not a book that I can look up and be like, oh, after 3 years, it should feel like this. Like, I don't know what that feels like. So I kind of wanted to like have a clean slate, because I literally went from drinking to diagnosed to taking meds and sobriety and like doing all that, healing inside and stuff. So I was doing all that, like working through the trauma and the healing and going to see my therapist. So I was like, let me try to have a clean slate and see what that looks like. And so I went off my meds, and eventually she'll have the final say if she feels like I never need to. If I have to go back on, she's the final say. Like, she knows me enough, right?
Right.
But yeah, I'm coming up on 9 years this June that I've been without and not that I'm advocating for that, but it was something that I wanted to do to try to, because just to see what that looked like, and use my own coping skills and my own healing, to see if I could manage life. That's where we're a little like, maybe it isn't really bipolar, just because it doesn't cycle for me like that.
Right. Yeah. It's so deeply case by case, isn't it? Like it's broad, and my wife and her mom both have a little bit of background in like psychology. Her mom was mental health therapist too. And they really, like you said, your wife would have the final say, because she would see, like, so we could be watching something and I'll be like, is there something wrong with that person? Like, because I don't know, and she'll give a clear indicator, because she's picked up on a few things and know, like, oh, they're probably on the spectrum, and okay. But yeah, it's so case by case that you really can't, speak for anyone other than yourself. But thank goodness that you have somebody there that would pick up on any kind of behavioral difference, or, something, that might be not right, that you're not recognizing, but she would, so that's fantastic. It's like having the guardrails off the,
Right.
in the big girl bed, in the big girl bed, no guardrails. Yeah. No training wheels.
Sorry, Denise. I noticed that you changed your look from your older videos. Like, I did a deep dive into your YouTube account.
Oh, that's not creepy. No.
Other stuff. And I noticed that, like, in your earlier days, you had a whole different look, and then looks like you lost a lot of weight. You changed your hair, you changed your style. Did that go along with you changing? Is that when you got sober, or did that happen?
Yes. So the weight came off because of sobriety, kind of naturally. And then all of a sudden, like, you want to take, then also like that mind body connection is good for your mental health for all of us. So, eating a little bit better, exercising a little bit better. The hair came when I was driving home from a gig in April one day, and I heard on the radio, they were doing like a cancer thing for these kids, like shave your head for cancer and raise money for cancer. And I'm listening to the radio ad, and I'm like, that's something I could do. I could shave my head for cancer, for kids with cancer. Like, that's easy enough. And I had real bleach blonde hair. Probably that's what you're thinking of. And So it was like right after I got diagnosed and sober, and I was like, oh, I can shave my head. And so I shaved my head, and I look back now, and that was almost like another spiritual kind of thing of like just cleansing that old person off of
Yeah,
me.
it's like cathartic,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then now I just kind of, now it's like salt and pepper now, but
Oh,
yeah.
here, girl. All right, I hear you.
And then just finally I knew this was Valentine's Day, but this is like how I dress when I go to work or on stage. Like I really enjoy being dressed up and kind of flashy and mixing patterns. It was like, now I feel comfortable in my skin to just kind of like be as loud as I want, and have fun with it.
Yeah, it is. It's great. I
That's
mean, yeah, I would kill to do a walkthrough of your closet.
Yeah, you said that when
Seriously.
her picture popped on. You said something like decked out as always because you had
Oh,
this
your
really
little picture, your little picture. I'm like, look at her little picture. She's even dapper in her picture. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
love it.
it
Yeah, I
is.
really
It's
do. I love
fantastic.
fashion. I love getting dressed up. It's a fun thing for me.
It really is. I mean, I always say like it makes you feel better, like
yes, you
Mhm.
do.
I
Yeah.
was at that point this morning. I'm like, you have to dye your hair. You can't keep wearing a hat. Your roots are like this long. You have to. And the minute, it's a pain in the ass. And then the minute you do it, you're like, oh, I feel a
Yep.
little bit better. I feel
A
a little
little,
bit better.
it's a little zhuzh.
Pulled out a couple white eyebrows. I'm like, that's new. Hey, I'm
Can't
like, are
keep
you
pulling.
kidding me? Are
How do
you
you?
kidding me?
I was working with an individual the other day, and I had a suit on I wear red and pink all the whole month of February or whatever. And so I had a suit on, and the individual was like, oh, I follow somebody on Instagram that's a lot like you, with all the gray hair. And I was like,
Oh,
you're dead to me now. Yeah.
It's the
Oh, yeah.
only
Like,
thing that they could
like
point
I'm
out
20 years older
to
than you, for
identify
Christ's sakes.
you.
I'm allowed to have gray hair.
it's
Then I
gonna
go home and
happen.
I'm like, do I really look that bad? And she's like, no, you look fine.
That's so funny. Oh my God, that's so funny.
So,
I
what are your
mean,
Valentine's plans with your wife? Do you guys have something you're doing tonight?
We do not. My wife is the greatest woman in the world because she's not that girl. Like she doesn't like. Here's my thing about Valentine's Day, right? Like you celebrate one day at like 10 times the cost, or you just do it all year long.
right,
Right.
And
right.
that's how I so she never cleans her car off with the snow. She doesn't take the trash out. Like I do all those things. You know what I mean? So I just do it consistently throughout the year, so I don't have to drop $100 on roses. But the first year that we had Valentine's Day together, that's the first year that you do everything. So we stopped celebrating Valentine's Day after this year. I'm opening up my presents, and my gift was 6 weeks to the Brazilian butt lift, the 3 DVD set. That was what I got for Valentine's Day.
Oh, oh, you got it from her?
I got it from her, and I'm like, this gift sucks. I don't want this. And she's like, no, that's not for you to do. That's for me to do for you so that I have the Brazilian butt lift.
Oh, that's
Oh, wow. Okay, that perspective is okay.
Yes, but if the gift was actually for me, she should have started on New Year's Day so that by 6 weeks later,
That's funny.
she would have the ass that went with the gift.
That is absolutely
you could have
hilarious.
secretly started it and then given
Yeah.
you the gift. Yes.
Oh my
Right.
God.
And then just be like, oh, look, this
Look
is
at
what
that.
I did.
Yeah.
I have like coffee table coasters now. I don't have.
Did
That's
it work?
I said
Did
we
this
just do little things
They
like
have never left the package. They're in the entertainment center downstairs, I think.
that is so damn funny. Yeah, I think, you do think, I mean, that's exactly how we do things for each other all the time. So we always say like, yeah, like we'll just do like a little something.
Yeah.
I know that.
I saw that earlier.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
that's it. That's a little something. But it's we actually went out with a friend of ours last night and did like a Valentine's cheers kind of thing at the pub. So done. One and done.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's good. You have to make big fusses over things. I mean, honestly, it's ridiculous, especially in this day and age. It's like it's enough just to keep your head above water.
when I was living in my house, there was a couple that lived 2 doors away they were like Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. And she was always dressed nice. He was always dressed nice. And one Valentine's Day, I had just gotten divorced and I just got a puppy. So I was cleaning up all the dog crap on the lawn, right? And then there I am on Valentine's Day cleaning up the dog shit on the front lawn. And the people on the other side were these 2 old ladies that were sisters that lived together. And then their friend came over. So the 3 old ladies get in the car and they go to dinner together for Valentine's Day. And then a limo pulls up down the road for Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. She comes out in this long gown. He's got a tux. He runs back in, comes back. He's got a rose, a single rose. They get in
Oh,
the car. Like,
man.
well, I'm not those old ladies, but I'm not them either. I'm not missing part of that couple. 6 months later, a moving van pulls up in front of their house and she gets in and she's gone. So I always thought that was so telling of that didn't mean anything. I thought,
Yeah.
wow, the couple. And it wasn't even a year later. And I couldn't believe it when the moving van pulled up, I thought they were,
Yeah.
he stayed and she was gone. I never saw her again.
That's
So yeah, right. So I think that the real true relationships, you don't need that pomp and circumstance
the big
to,
gestures.
you're
Yeah.
right. It's got to be an everyday thing throughout the year.
Yeah.
Cleaning someone's car, picking up something they need at the store without them having to ask you, things
Yeah.
they need.
Yep.
True.
Yeah.
I think
it
that's
is.
what keeps the magic alive, right? Like that's what I call Candace. She's like magic. Like things just appear. Like she just knows that I want something or what. Yeah. So like you just continue to do that throughout the year, then you're always each other's Valentine's.
Yeah, it is. It's true, right? Like it's 365, man.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
true.
Yeah, honestly, my wife sent me a TikTok video of somebody making a pancake and then before they flipped it, they put a pineapple ring and then flipped it. And she was like, "Do we have pineapples?" And I'm like, "No." But what did I do? I Uber Eats groceries and I got her the pineapples, so they were here.
Aw,
Amazing.
Yeah,
how
this,
nice. See,
yeah.
that's the kind of thing. I love the way you guys do your relationship.
It's just like,
I
whatever.
want to strive for that in my next relationship, like what both of you girls have. I want to do that.
I feel like
That's,
I'm just holding out for pineapple pancakes this weekend.
I just decided I am not good at relationships, but there's always hope. There's always,
I think I don't know, Amy, maybe you can talk to this issue, but I do think when you are a performer of any kind and you have gigs and a following, it's very hard to find a partner that is perfectly okay with that
Mhm.
and will let you be your creative self in the space that you need, for that job,
Mhm.
to give you that freedom, if you will, and not be jealous or catty or, you know, clingy and all that kind of stuff, like give you the space you need for that because that feeds your soul. Like they don't get that. Like you've got to find a person that gets that.
Yes. And Candace is amazing. Like, you know, I'll joke with her, if people come up to me after a show or whatever, they're kind of flirty. I'll joke with her, I'll be like, I still got it. And she'd be like, all right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
So
is
like
so cool.
yeah, like it does take a special person because as you can appreciate, you're gone Friday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. Like
Yes.
most of the month is the weekends are gone. And so to have somebody that is not complaining about it, like you're not gonna be home, like she actually like is happy about it because she works hard at her job. So like if I'm gone a couple nights on the weekends, she's like taking a bath, she's seeing her
Yeah.
niece and nephew. So it also gives us that time to have like separate lives as well, but
Yeah.
without the nonsense of jealousy or catty. Like she knows I'm coming home, like she trusts me completely. And so, but it does take a special person to kind of understand that and be secure. They need to be secure in their own selves too,
Yeah.
right?
That's a huge
So
part of it.
Have that. That's always been my problem. I've always had the partner that really resented me being away or working on the weekends, or the people that flirt with you when you're at a gig. It's like you just, that's part of it. And if you don't have someone that's secure enough in themselves, like your wife, they get jealous, and then you have to deal with that when you get home, and it's toxic. It becomes
Yeah,
very
it's
toxic.
noise, right? It's like extra noise. I mean, I dated girls that were like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It stifles your creativity in such a way that you
yeah,
can't filter it out, and give yourself that
you can't.
space that
Yeah.
you need, Yeah, it's tough. It definitely is tough. Honestly. Yeah, I mean, I consider myself very blessed to have somebody that goes, do whatever you want,
Mhm.
do whatever you want kind of thing. And we are away a lot, like the older my mom gets, the more I go back to Florida and the longer I stay. And her family is still all in Australia. And you can't just do like 10 days in Australia because like 4 of those days you're flying, So it's
Yep.
got to be a good month or so to get your time in. So we are away like long periods of time because of our family situations. And I don't know anybody else that would be okay with that.
Mm,
No, I really don't, because like I end up going on my own a lot because of her work. And when
Yep.
she goes to Australia, I'm not doing it. I'm
mm.
just absolutely not gonna fly for 27 hours. Not even and that's not my wheelhouse. I can barely make it 8 or 9 to Miami. So it's yeah, so we have that, and it not that it's a hurdle or any. I like you said, like I think my wife actually enjoys having the house to herself because I'm always here. Like I am always here. She doesn't get the house to herself that much. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Cats,
it works.
the
I think
cats.
that's like when you know you found your person, right? Like you just haven't found them yet, JD.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to hurry up. I feel like the game's almost over.
No, you absolutely not. You have way too much to give for it to be almost over.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
uh, you're
No.
denying you're denying the world. You know what Candace did? She was coming out through a long-term breakup before we met, but she had wrote out a list of all the things that the next relationship had to have, and
Mhm.
not like she had like 10 things on her list, I guess, and not 6 out of the 10. It had to be all 10 because she's like, I'll just stay by myself. And she's like and I guess as we were dating, like I just kept checking off all 10 of the things on this. So maybe that's what we get to do. Like these are the make it or break it things. You just, and that way it manifests
Yes.
and starts to go, come true. Like you write it down and you send it out into the universe, and then, but they don't waffle. Don't let a red flag waffle you.
Oh,
That's
that's the thing.
right.
I'm the biggest blind eye to a red flag, and that's been my problem.
Or
I
the,
just
or the I can change that. No,
No, no,
no,
you don't want to have to change
oh,
them.
oh yes, no.
right.
That's yeah. Oh, I could live with that.
Yeah,
Oh, I can
no, that's a
you know,
compromise. Yeah, that's a
I
compromise.
think to a degree, the other person in my people in my relationships did that with me because they're like, it's manageable. It's manageable. And then after a while, there's too many things. Like I tend to be very OCD with keep things being neat and clean and everything in its place. And, to the point where not everyone likes to live quite that much that way, but maybe that's one of the things. But, you're right. I do agree, Amy. I need to make that list and put it out in the universe and not I think your wife was right to not settle for not all 10 things because um there's always that one thing that's going to be maybe the thing that becomes huge then that you don't get. So
Mhm.
And
But
somebody
the
shouldn't have to change you either, though. If like, so I was like, oh, I want to come live with you. Everything has its place. You're OCD. Like that's me. Like don't put
yeah,
it down, put it away. My
yes,
yes, there's
wife,
yes.
everything.
right? Like yeah, just put your shoes away, put your jacket away, put shit away. My wife
Right.
is put it down and walk away. And she's just very like whimsy and like, and then for a while, like sharing a bathroom and all that, like would make me insane. And then finally, like she came up to me a little bit. I came down to her, and we just kind of
Yeah.
like, all right, now we have like separate closets and separate bathrooms, and
Yes,
everybody wins. Everybody
yeah.
wins.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
exactly how we do it here. Exactly. It's like I don't
I fight it.
I have to say, where are the scissors?
Uh,
I don't want to ask that question. They have a place. Why are they not there? That's
Because oh my God, Candace will say the same. I'll be like, honey, why this isn't, they didn't want to live in that drawer today. They live over here today. No, you don't get to change. No, you don't change the
right.
location.
Right.
Like it's the measuring cups or spoons. She's like, they wanted to live in over here today. I'm like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. They don't. They don't. They don't live
Oh,
anywhere but in these 3 spaces. Like
yes,
that's
yeah.
the end of
You're a
time.
Virgo. Are you a Virgo? Right?
Yeah.
Because I crack up at those like Virgo things that come up on your Facebook. Like I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. I'm a big squealer. That one's like, you keep a secret to the ends of the earth. I'm like, oh, not that one. No. I'm like the type of person that like the day before Christmas, I'm like, do you want to open up like 2 gifts? I can't. I'm completely incapable. People know. They know. They won't tell me. I'm like, why am I the last to know? And they go, because you're a squealer. I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly right.
Awesome.
Well, we have squealed so much tonight, and I'm so thrilled.
I can't appreciate like so much to see and talk to both of you. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was really a treat.
My absolute pleasure. I do want to plug you got a couple of things coming up, right? One of them's on
I gotta from now until like the end of June is super busy. So I think what the easiest thing to just go to like amytcomedian.com, and my full list, my full site is updated and continues to be updated regularly. So thank you so much.
Oh.
Are you going to be coming down to Florida at all?
I should. My mom lives there, so I should go. I should.
Reason.
Oh,
yeah. Is there a place I should look into?
Yeah, you should look into Arts Garage and Boca Black Box.
Okay.
Arts Garage is in Delray. Where is your mom? Where does your mom live?
Inglewood, which is near Venice.
Oh, okay. That's not on this. Where is that?
Well, I didn't say I had to go around. I said I could go.
If you want to come to Delray, there's some really cool places in Boca.
Definitely Arts Garage.
Let me know. Let me know, and I can hook you up with those places.
Yeah, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Any little bit of help I can get to branch out, I would love that.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah.
Thank you.
You can arrange for her to be there in May. That's when I'm there.
I could make May work. I can carve out some time.
There's your homework.
That would be incredible. I would love a big hug. That would be amazing.
Oh my God, that would be so good to catch up in person.
Yes.
Really cool.
Listen,
all the best to the wife and
thank you.
And all your upcoming gigs. And JD, now you got homework. So
yes, I'm gonna do.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Have a great happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
Why do you always run back to?
Like, never stop chasing your dreams.
We drank way too much whiskey.
That's true.
See?
My addiction is you. Don't ask me why I'm here tonight. I had to take this midnight drive to find you. And as I come in through the door, I see her dancing on the floor beside you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you.